This is our first video on our journey to a baby, which is pretty cool. Hey you guys, Katie here, and I am super excited because this is our first video talking about TTCing or trying to conceive. I'm going to go ahead and preface right now that this is going to be a TMI video. I feel like it goes without saying anything that has to do with TTCing or pregnancy is going to be a little bit TMI. So if you are squeamish about that stuff or you're a boy and don't want to listen to it, we will see you on our next video. Kyle and I got married on May 20th, 2017, and it was perfect. It was the best day ever. I'm going to go ahead and insert a picture here just to show you how special it was. And I would consider May 20th, 2017 was day one of trying to conceive. We both knew that we really wanted a family right away. I'm going to give you a little bit of my own personal health history, reproductive health history. I started birth control when I was 16, almost 17, and it did take a few prescriptions really to find something that worked for me. But after we did, I didn't have any issues. And I decided a couple years later to stop taking the birth control pills just to give my body a little bit of a break from the hormones. And then probably a few months later, before we moved to South Lake Tahoe, I decided to get the Nexplanon inserted into my arm. I'm going to go ahead and put a picture here of what that looked like because it was kind of gnarly. And now I got it taken out May 2016, and now I just have a little scar. It's probably not even anything that the camera picks up, so no big deal. I did only have the Nexplanon for a year and a half. It is a hormonal birth control that you can leave inserted in your arm for 3 years. But I decided that I just couldn't handle it anymore. It made me, for lack of a better word, crazy. It just made my personality change, and I was super grumpy and very irritable all of the time. Bless Kyle's heart for putting up with me, but it was rough. It was definitely a terrible hormonal year. After I got the Nexplanon taken out, it took about 5 months for my period to show her face, but that was kind of more on the longer end of normal, so I wasn't overly worried about it. After that first period, it seemed that every 3 to 4 months, that's when I would get my period. So instead of every month a new cycle would start, it was every 3 to 4 months. So I was actually only having a cycle about 3 to 4 times a year. My periods would usually start with 2 to 3 days of spotting, and then cycle day 1, as doctors would consider it, and then I would usually bleed until cycle day 7. So I had about 10 days of bleeding. I started my period right before our wedding day, so I was spotting when we got married, which was really great. I was very happy about that. Very happy about that. But that period was actually really weird. Usually, like I said, it will last no more than 10 days, and this actually lasted about 28 days. So I was bleeding moderately for 28 days. And right around 21 days, I decided that I needed to go to the emergency room. I couldn't get in to see an OB because I would have been considered a new patient with new insurance. And those appointments were booked out about a month, and I just knew I couldn't wait that long. So I went to the ER, and they took blood tests, they took urine, they did a pelvic exam, they did an internal and an external ultrasound, and everything seemed fine. You would think with that much bleeding that my hemoglobin would be off and my iron, but everything looked normal, and my ER doctor felt comfortable sending me home with a referral, actually to her personal OB. She came very highly recommended, so I did schedule that, and I got in to see my OB about 3 or 4 days after I went to the ER. My OB also looked at my test results, and she didn't see anything of concern either. The only thing that she was really concerned about was my the long period before periods. She said that is called, and I'm gonna have to look at it because I cannot pronounce it, amenorrhea, which is like a long period between periods. So I had super long cycles, and she said that is probably why I was bleeding so much or for so long, because I had a lot of uterine lining to shed. And since I had so much uterine lining to shed, that was why there was just such a long period. She prescribed me Provera, which is a progesterone supplement, and she said if the bleeding doesn't stop, to start taking that medicine, and then it could be up to 2 weeks for the bleeding to end. I decided not to take it at that time, just because I could tell that it was starting to taper and that it wasn't going to be lasting all that much longer. But she also told me to take it if I have more than 60 days without a period, so that way all of the lining will shed and I won't have to worry about those long bleeding episodes. After that period started, I had no idea really where to start with trying to conceive, so I decided to buy some over-the-counter ovulation predictor kits, and I just bought them online. I think they were from Amazon. They were easy at-home brand, and I took a test about a week after my period, which is usually when you'd start to see something if you were going to be ovulating soon, and it was positive, so I thought, great. So I treated that as a positive ovulation test, and then when I wasn't pregnant, I decided that I was going to start. I figured I have long cycles, so you don't really know when you're going to ovulate, and I took those for about a week, and I noticed that they were all positive or really close to positive depending on how much water I had drinking that day, and I just kind of got this weird feeling like, that's not right. They can't all be positive. That doesn't make sense. So I decided to email my doctor. The doctors that we go to, they have an online portal, and we're able to correspond that way. So I emailed her and said that I had purchased some OPKs and they were all positive, and I just wanted to know if that was something I should be concerned about. She emailed me back relatively quickly. They say it can take 2 business days, but she's really on top of it, and she said that no, that's not normal, and that can be a sign of PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome. She offered to watch it for a couple months and just see if we get pregnant, or to do a blood draw. And I decided that I wanted to be in front of anything that was going to stand in our way, and I went in for a blood draw, and that was terrible. I have no problem giving blood. I am not afraid of needles, and I don't know if it was a phlebotomist or I hadn't had enough water that day. Usually they tell me how great my veins are, and this phlebotomist, oh my gosh, she dug. I could see the needle going like this. She dug for my vein. It was terrible. But I got the blood, I think I went in on a Friday, so Saturday morning I woke up to having a notification from my My Health Online, or whatever it's called, and I looked at it, and they tested my progesterone, they tested my LH, my FSH, and thyroid, testosterone, and glucose, because those are all some of the telltale signs of PCOS. So everything seemed relatively normal. Nothing really like heightened my senses that, hey, like there's for sure something wrong. The only thing that I thought was a little weird was all of my hormones were at a different phase in a cycle. So I thought, that might be kind of weird. And I also noticed that my LH was really high compared to my FSH. It was twice that of. So I thought, that might be weird too. I waited for my doctor to email me back, and she did on that following Monday, and she confirmed that I have PCOS, and that was based off of my hormone levels. They weren't actually able to see my ovaries in the ultrasound that they did. She felt confident in the diagnosis that I have PCOS, and I just kind of froze. When you are super excited about something, you're ready for it to happen, and then something just kind of brings you to a halt. I just remember thinking, shoot, like this is not going to be as easy as I thought it was going to be. And I was bummed. I was very, very bummed. And I cried, and I had to take a lot of deep breaths, but I read the rest of her email, and she said that I could start Clomid, which is kind of the first step to any sort of fertility treatment, and that I had that door open at any point that I wanted it. And that is kind of where we are right now. It's been a month or so since we got those results, and Kyle and I are currently just prayerfully trying to decide when or if we want to go down that route. I'm nervous about any sort of medical intervention, so right now we're working on diet and exercise and those things that may help. But she did feel pretty confident that we would not be able to get pregnant on our own. So not only is this our first TTC video, this is actually our first infertility video as well. We are going to keep you guys as updated as we feel comfortable. I'm really excited and nervous and just all over the board of this journey. And I do feel confident that God has confirmed we will have a child in our household. I just don't know how long it'll take, how that baby will come, but I do feel confident there will be a baby to introduce you guys to soon. If you guys could just pray with us, I'm going to be doing an update on my personal walk through this journey that I'm just beginning, and I'm excited to share that with you guys as well. I'm nervous, but I do feel really good. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I can't wait to share the rest of this journey with you guys. Bye.